Good evening and welcome to the We Are Rise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How's everybody doing? How was your weekend? Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all that wonderful stuff. Is everybody going out there shopping? Is everybody going out there shopping yet? Do you buy your stuff online? Let me know. Because it's just a shit show out there. If you got to go shopping and stuff, I can tell you right now, and things are just ridiculously expensive. Let me welcome in my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's up, buddy? How was your weekend? Was it rainy like mine? Shitty and rainy all weekend?
Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Today was no, yeah, it was. It was today was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't do that Black Friday shit. I don't do any
Mm.
of that going
The
out to the
Cyber
mall and
Monday
stuff.
stuff.
I order it. If
Yeah.
I order something, I'll get it at Amazon,
Right.
or I'll just make some treats and send it to whatever.
Yeah, it
You
makes
know,
sense. I don't blame you. I mean,
like
honestly,
sugar coated pecans with butter and the whole thing. The whole thing.
right. No, I know. It's just a shit show out there. It's just ridiculous.
I
And
don't mess with
it's
it.
nice to buy stuff online. I mean, I was thinking about because we were at the mall. I had to get new frames. My other glasses broke to send them back and get them fixed. And so I was like, we were in there and it's like just packed. And it's like, man, it's like, wow, a lot of people just walking around. I don't know if they're buying anything, but they're walking around. I guess that's it. Yeah, I like online shopping better.
The
I always have.
snowbirds are the
But if you
pain in
got to
the
go buy
ass.
jeans or sneakers or shoes and stuff, you actually have to go out to the store. You know what I'm saying? It's just like just because you know your measurement and stuff like that doesn't you got to try these things on. So I mean, it's like,
I get them on Amazon. I got some Hey Dude shoes
yeah.
that are great. They're the whatever, but
Every time I
I
bought
get
any
them
shoes
online.
online, it's
The
just they
ones I'm
never.
wearing, I got
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
right. I hear you.
But
I
it's
know.
it's daggone snowbirds this time of the year that really piss me off because they're taking up all the traffic.
Uh-oh.
They're in the stores. They're
Angry
lined up.
man.
They're
Yeah.
all oh man, God,
Yeah, I know. I know.
bunch of massholes from Massachusetts.
Oh, I know.
Sorry to anybody that's from Massachusetts.
Welcome in pill.net. Hello on Rumble. What's going on? Yes, we are on YouTube. Please share and subscribe over there. Leave us a comment as well. Yes, so you guys can go back and forth. I know there was problems on YouTube today when I was trying to set up the show. What's up, True Terran over here? So I don't know what's going on, but hopefully it's working now. So let me know if you're over there. Tonight's show, who's the boss? Who's the boss? Party affiliations, MTG, and loyalty. We'll get into the conversation she had with Leslie Stahl in 60 Minutes and President Trump firing rounds back at her. Glowie Groyper. We're going to find out about Fuentes. Is he a Fed? I don't know. A lot of people seem to think so. At least his, let's just say his presence on X has some type of something behind it. We don't know what that is. And it's definitely outside sources. Supreme Dunk. We're going to start with that tonight. This is a really important thing, the FTC Act of 1914. President Trump, this basically, we're going to get to that. I want to welcome in everybody on pill.net. What up? Wood USA, how you doing? Thank you for the 117 gold pills. Yes, hi, good to see you. What's up, Patty B? Good to see you. Well, Thea, thank you for the 300 gold pills. How you doing? How was your birthday? Hello, family. Are you shopping yet? Is it snowing there in Colorado? Let me know how the weather is. Curious Cat, gifted the cookie. What's up, Mark? How you doing? Who else is here? I saw you, Trusty Turnham. How you doing? Was it raining by you too in Florida? How about you, Trump one? What's going on? It's Monday. I'm ready for the weekend again. You know what? If Thursday comes around, yes, I'm ready for the weekend. It seems like that. It's just like it can't come fast enough. Fag Fed. I like that, Wood USA. Sausage Launcher, what's up? You guys are everybody likes online shopping. I'm glad Cyber Monday. Yeah,
So
look,
much easier, man. I mean,
what's that?
it's so much easier. You don't have.
No, I
It's
don't
just
disagree. I don't disagree. I mean, I was out we were out this weekend. I was also looking at because we're moving next year, so I have to look at places. I was looking at rentals and other properties to look at, and it's just like, and it was just raining out all day. So I was just like, oh, the weather sucked. So, that was my weekend. So hopefully yours was better. And this weekend, hope the cool weather comes in. I'm looking forward to it. I just hope it doesn't rain when I get out there biking again and stuff. All right. So let's start off with tonight's show about what's going on with, I think really with the Supreme Court rulings, or basically what they're going to come down to, I think this is good. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Hit the bell to be notified. If you want to help out, MarshallKofi.com/SwiftDog74. You can drop us a Rumble rant over here on Rumble as well. And again, we're on YouTube, so please subscribe over there. I think this is an important conversation to have because, look, let me just say this right now before we start this. I don't think people understand the FTC Act of 1914. 5 commissioners, which also limits the president's power to fire these commissioners. That's what led to the 2 rulings by the appeals court. That's why we're at the Supreme Court. Can the president, any president, this president or any president going forward, fire any and all executive branch members? That includes these people from the FTC, the FEC. You have governors over at the Fed. A lot of things fall into this category going forward. This is about redefining the power of the presidency and claiming that this act is unconstitutional, is and was unconstitutional, and runs into and through the separation of powers in error, as it is clumsily and infringes upon Article 2 powers. I believe so, and I think we'll get to that. So basically what it is mostly the Supreme Court justices, which I have a couple of them, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch. I have the idiot Ketanji Brown Jackson. You should listen to her projection. She's not talking like a Supreme Court justice. She should not be there. The way she speaks, honestly, it's pretty sad. Most of the Supreme Court justices on Monday seemed inclined to allow President Trump to tell a former federal chair commissioner Honcho that she's fired. In case of that, could dramatically expand presidential power over the independent agencies. I think so. I mean, this is the problem that we have where Congress has pulled away. It's been eaten away, I think, presidential powers in a lot of ways since the Impoundment Act and many other things regarding this. Despite a statute insulating FTC commissioners from being fired without cause, the high court's conservative majority seem concerned that Congress has usurped too much executive power. And this is the whole point. President Trump is redefining, getting back the powers of the presidency. So going forward, they can make moves. Look, there's a clear understanding the Federal Reserve is going to go away. I mean, President Trump's already saying IRS is going away. You're not going to pay income tax anymore. There's always these things in the future that it's happening. So this just sets the table of like, all right, well, do we need these governors? Do we need these commissioners in some way? President Trump says, no, we don't need these people that sit on these boards. You mentioned many times that you can go to Congress to fix this. Well, once the powers are taken away from the president, it's very hard to get them back. Think of the Impoundment Act of the 1970s. Conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh told an attorney for the former FTC Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter during oral arguments. This is what the case is. Independent agencies shift power from the president to Congress. Everyone recognizes that the Congress has more control over independent agencies as they do over the executive agencies. At issue before the High Court was Trump's firing of Slaughter from her perch as one of the 5 FTC commissioners in March. The Federal Trade Commission Act stipulates that the commissioners can only be ousted for inefficiency, neglect, duty, and malfeasance in office. Multiple lower courts have ruled against Trump on the firing. But in September, the Supreme Court allowed Trump's firing of Slaughter to take effect. U.S. Solicitor General John Sauer contended that the statute for FTC and the fundamental structure of many independent agencies essentially encroach upon the president's executive power. I'm not going to read this any further. We're going to go into this. So the FTC of 1935 has nothing to do with the FTC that looks today, and it's addressing the agency that had very little, if any, executive power. I'm going to go into another article from the Liberty Nation, which is really good. Marshall, your thoughts on this as I continue on?
It's just more waste. It's just more people that get in the way of everything that needs to be done.
Mhm.
It slows everything down. It takes money. It's more taxpayer money.
Mhm.
All this stuff is it's totally redundant.
Right.
So much of this is so much redundancy.
Right. Well, if you go back like 90 years, see the Act of 1914, federal legislation by Congress signed by the president. Agency is led by 5 commissioners, 7-year terms. The problem is the bureaucracy that never seems to go away. And Congress really don't have the wherewithal to want to fix this. So why would you invest in them to do anything? They don't do anything, period. Let me show you this. I'm going to come down. Who's the boss? That's part of tonight's show. The question comes down to this. Can the president fire any member of the executive branch if he wants for any reason, or some positions protected by his wrath? Mrs. Slaughter's argument is that the federal law forbids it, and so it's illegal. Trump's argument is that any federal law prohibiting the presidential action is unconstitutional and runs afoul of the separation of powers established by the founders. Yeah, I mean, they added this in 1914, which is just a slow artifice to attack the power of the president. Obviously, think about the time frame when in 14, 15, 16, 17. What had changed during that period of time? A certain president died. The IRS came into, let's just say, focus. The Federal Reserve came into focus. World War I, a variety of different things that changed the landscape and trajectory of how the founding fathers viewed Article 2 for these broader powers. But the broader battle over executive authority has been brewing for years. In 35, the Supreme Court considered the very issue in Humphrey's executive versus the United States. 2 years earlier, President Franklin Roosevelt fired FTC Commissioner William Humphrey, arguing the aims and purposes of the administration with respect to the work of the commission can be carried out effectively with personnel of my own selection. So even Roosevelt realized that, hey, look, why do these people have control? I mean, I'm the president. I should be able to fire these people and hire who I want in there. I think that's the bottom line. When you consider that, Humphrey passed away a few months later, and his estate sued the government for a salary it argued it owed for the rest of Humphrey's term. See, that's what it was about. The court in 35 upheld the federal law forbidding the president of firing the FTC commissioners outside the three listed causes of the government from the firing outside the three listed causes of the government, and was forced to pay. If today's court continues with the tradition, it could rule that Judge Alkine's order to be upheld by Rebecca Slaughter gets reinstated. There are a couple of possible outcomes. If the President Trump's favor, however, the justice can rule that the reasoning behind Humphrey's executive decision was sound, but the FTC of today is different from the 1930s. And while still valid, the ruling simply doesn't apply in this case. And I think that's the point. I think Sauer's arguing from the position is that, look, this is not what we're arguing. So he's saying that the act prohibits President Trump from doing these things, just like Roosevelt was arguing too. And the fact is that they're trying to reduce his powers in any way for him to move forward in what he wants to do. So what are they claiming? They're claiming that, hey, look, the president's powers only go so far. It's going to be Congress that has to get involved in. And they're like, why? I appoint these people. Congress doesn't need to do this. This is my job. In some way, I think that what we're understanding here is that what we're going to see, and I'm going to show you right now, I think eventually this is probably going to be a 6-3 decision. You'll probably see Gorsuch or Kavanaugh make the majority opinion. It could be 5-4. You have the 3 liberal justices, including Ketanji Brown Jackson, and listen to what her commentary was. This is just unbelievably. This is why you got to get rid of her. We need to make sure that the auto pen discussion and how it's all void and stuff, she needs to be removed from this court. This is embarrassing. Listen to her today. Ketanji Jackson lost it during oral arguments. She did. No King-style rant about President Trump wanting to rule like a monarch. This is not how a Supreme Court justice is supposed to speak in this matter. The experts and PhDs like Fauci, Rachel Levine, and the gay bondage age dude. Listen to this.
Some issues, some matters, some areas should be handled in this way by nonpartisan experts. That Congress is saying that expertise matters with respect to aspects of the economy and transportation and the various independent agencies that we have. So having a president come in and fire all the scientists and the doctors and the economists and the PhDs and replacing them with loyalists and people who don't know anything is actually not in the best interest of the citizens of the United States. These issues should not be in presidential control. So can you speak to me about the danger of allowing in these various areas the president to actually control the Transportation Board and potentially the Federal Reserve and all these other independent agencies? In these particular areas, we would like to have independence. We don't want the president controlling. I guess what I don't understand from your overarching—
We don't want the president or this president. Think about that.
Argument is why that determination of Congress, which makes perfect sense given its duty to protect the people of the United States, why that is subjugated to a concern about the president not being able to control everything. I mean, I appreciate there's a conflict between the two, but one would think under our constitutional design, given the history of the monarchy and the concerns that the framers had about a president controlling everything, that in the clash between those two, Congress's view that we should be able to have independence with respect to certain issues should take precedence.
Wow. That doesn't sound like a Supreme Court justice to me. I can tell you that right now. Jumanji Jackson, I like that. Marshall, your thoughts about that? I mean, she's definitely all for a role. I mean, look, you could see the DEI all over the place. You could see how this president she's speaking about, she doesn't like the fact in some way that this will be taken away from the House, from Congress per se, and President Trump can just fire whoever he wants, whenever he wants. And I think that's odd in some way. You know, it's just weird in some way that the way she's prefacing this and breaking this down in some way, it makes me think it's like, what are you trying to say here? You're saying that the president is limited based on Congress has to tell the president who to fill in these positions or when to fill these positions in. Since when is that? I understand the Board of Governors and how the Fed operates and all these different things, but I think this will clear a path about removing FTC people in the future, removing federal governors and all these other people that basically operate outside the Constitution. I mean, that's what we're seeing right now. Isn't that what we're saying right now? It seems like that.
Man, I am so fucking sick of these damn people, man. The fatigue is real, brother.
Yeah.
It's real. And people are getting fed up with it. It's just really just, I mean, it's just, you know, you've got this person in there with a robe on that thinks that she's smart and she's not. And total DEI, like you said.
Yeah.
And this shit needs to end. It's so, everyone is so over it. It really, it's just.
Well, there's a bright spot in this because every time she speaks up, you know, if you look at all the court cases that President Trump has won in the last several months, let's just say this year, it's like 12 of them. She had what? A major dissenting argument about every single one of them. So in one context, you could say, all right, this is a negative thing. This is a positive thing. But when you hear her speak and actually open her mouth, it actually makes everybody else realize that whatever is being, let's just say, discussed here at the moment, litigated at the moment for some type of, justification for a majority, opinion to move forward. I think that she has to speak so you can understand the delicate balance between where she's coming from, really the far left progressive discussion. She didn't make an argument about anything other than that why the president shouldn't have that. All right. When you hear Justice Kavanaugh intellectually pummels Ketanji Brown Jackson, the Supreme Court, on whether president can fire a Democrat member of FTC. See, that's the point. I don't understand why the president gets to control everything and outweigh Congress' authority and duty to protect the people, because the president is the president. The powers are outside of that. The Supremacy Clause gives him that. Article 2 powers give him that. All right. He has powers outside, okay, of the House and Senate. So Kavanaugh, when both houses of Congress and the president are controlled by the party, them creating a lot of these independent agencies with or extending current independent agencies into the situation to thwart future presidents. So what he's saying is that why does Congress get to create all these external agencies that operate outside of the purview of the president? It just seems like that would seem at odds. Listen to this. I don't understand why is that I thought the president gets in control of everything to outweigh this. I'm going to give you, let's see if there's Kavanaugh. This is Kavanaugh's.
Victory with justices signaling they may allow him to fire a member of the Federal Trade Commission without cause. Jonathan Turley is standing by with more on the blockbuster case that could. So breaking.
All right, so here it is. This is it.
Authority and duty to protect the people in this way.
But Justice Kavanaugh asked, what happens when a president can't effectively carry out his or her agenda because of what a previous administration from an opposing party has done in maybe setting up one of these multi-member agencies or boards, and those members can't be fired by the president?
I want to give you a chance to deal with the hard hypothetical. When both houses of Congress and president are controlled by the same party, them creating a lot of these independent agencies with or extending some of the current independent agencies into these kinds of situations so as to thwart future presidents of the opposite party.
Mm-hmm.
So to rule for the president, they'd have to overturn a 90-year-old precedent, which is basically been on life support, if we're being honest. But the court's going to consider some of these same questions again. Slightly different framework in January when it wades into whether the president can dismiss a Fed governor. The court has indicated that it sees the Fed as a unique institution because it is.
Yeah, and I think this is just one example of another way of chipping away at the bureaucracy that basically confounds the president's and limits the president's Article 2 viabilities, Marshall. I mean, really, this is setting the trajectory up and setting for future precedents for presidents to move forward to fire any of these, let's just say, unelected bureaucrat agencies that are, let's just say, not viable. They're not even lawful. I mean, Congress sets these things up, and these people, this is the same thing that we discussed when certain rulings that the Supreme Court has made in the past. I think it was Chevron case, where the Chevron case removed all the entanglements of the bureaucracies of these agencies, stripped their powers away, and also controlled the amount of money that was going there that President Trump was able to pull back. And it's no different from that. When you give these people a certain weight, a certain amount of power, they never leave. And the fact is that if President Trump doesn't want a Democrat in there in some way, or doesn't like these people, what if they're corrupt? I mean, the whole concept of a malfeasance and all these other arguments in there and stuff, you have to go through this machination to remove them. Look how hard it is to remove Boasberg. We can't even get the House of Representatives, the House Oversight, the Judiciary, to remove and impeach this corrupt judge. I think it's so much more blatantly obvious right now that we're probably going to move forward. They're probably ruling a 6-3 decision. I think Kavanaugh will probably lead that. It's either Kavanaugh or Gorsuch will lead the majority opinion in this, and I see this moving forward. How it affects in January come with the Fed is going to be something different.
Trump should be able to dismantle these boards or whatever you want to call it. You know, all it does is it chips away at the power of the executive branch.
Right.
Doesn't chip away at it. It takes it away from the executive branch powers. They're not a branch of the government. They're just, little independent entities.
Mm-hmm.
They are not a branch of the government. There's only 3, and yet they seem to think that they're like a co-president or something.
Well, that's the point. I mean, the Article 2 powers are clear. The office of the presidency, the powers of the presidency. That's why he talks about the Impoundment Act, about them trying to remove that in some way, making sure that both the president, the office of the presidency, and Congress have dual, let's just say, controlling operations with the amount of money and the flow of money that goes in and out into the coffers and to certain areas and stuff. And I think they have to challenge that in some way. I don't know if they're going to, overturn that in a way or rule against that or maybe bring it to the Supreme Court. I don't know. But I mean, President Trump is slowly, and his team is slowly chipping away about every, let's just say, opportunity to hurt the office of the presidency, pull away and tug away at the powers and stuff. And I think this is a clear violation. I mean, 100-year-old law, okay, that neither was there. Even Roosevelt realized that back in 1935. And I think it's some way that we need to look at these things as we go through forward and stuff. What is President Trump's administration doing? He's setting the stage for a future president or future presidents to make sure that their administration going forward won't be hampered like his has been hampered with all these with all these judges and all these people just illegally, adjoining and invoking and injuncting his rule all over the place. It's not sovereign rule. That's why you have the courts. You go there all the time to argue about these things. But in this limited capacity, it's almost like they're protected from firing certain people at these echelons. And we never move the ball. We never move it across where we need to go. And I think that this is will be a good win. I think the problem is that we need to recognize this at what President Trump is saying that this is. Once you remove, he could fire all of them and put people in there he wants. That's what Ketanji Brown Jackson doesn't like. That's really what it's about. They just don't like the fact is that the president can come in and put his people in there. Why isn't it that any president that comes in there is not allowed to put their own people in? He does it in his other cabinet. Why is this cabinet so different from FTC, FEC, SEC? Why are there so much things? Because it's relegated to what? The Fed. And I think in some way I think if this moves forward, you'll probably see Fed governors resigning or President Trump having the power to revisit that going forward. Super D dropping 117 gold pills. Thank you so much. Who else is here? Thank you for the 170 goals. First snow of the year tonight. Cheers, everybody. That's great. Hogleg 71. What's up? Gifted the can, the cookie. Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Yes, that's good. Alita, I'm late. I was revisiting Thomas and Linda Paris. Oh, yeah, they had another show. Okay. All right, moving forward. Key officials could be ousted. White House responds. Now, this came out from Bulwark. I saw this WLT. I saw this on a variety of different news anchors. So I'm just going to pull this up. White House slapped down a report claiming President Trump is eyeing a replacement for Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, in the face of the administration. Look, we're going into a new year. Does anybody not think in some way, especially this president, all right, not putting new people in new positions and new roles for a variety of different reasons? The Bulwark cited 3 unnamed DHA officers reported Saturday that Trump is considering moving on from Noem, who has driven the most contentious policies on the southern border. White House spokesman Abigail Jackson fired back, said, blasting the Outlook, it says anonymous former staffers pretend to know what POTUS is thinking, and the Bulwark treats that as credible. Okay, the report said, this is total fake news. Noem is doing a great job, blah, blah, blah. The White House pushback comes as rumors swirl as a potential year-end cabinet shakeup. Does anybody believe that there'll be a cabinet shakeup? Do you believe that that this cabinet, who I think has been pretty solid for the most part, will be mostly intact? Let's say 90%, 95% intact for the next year coming up. The Bulwark reported claimed internal frustration, Noem's leadership, pointing to specifically a long-term Trump ally. Yes, Mr. Lewandowski as a top advisor, and apparently they have a relationship. CNN reported in November that the officials believe Lewandowski's influence contributed to a mismanagement. A source told the network, yes, he likes Noem, but he has been brought to his attention that Lewandowski is a problem and the agency is being mismanaged of that. What do you think about these rumors? They're dismissed, Marshall. I mean, Glenn Youngkin as a possible successor, but he wants an economic role. Why would President Trump bring Glenn Youngkin in?
God.
This is a guy who obviously gave away the Virginia governor's seat, didn't do anything to help that state find a replacement for him with the new election. Also, he's a never Trumper. You know what? I don't know why you would want to bring him into the administration at all. I mean, do you have a problem with Noem? I mean, I know a lot of people do. Is it really Noem or Corey Lewandowski? What do you think this is?
What I don't understand is why the hell she's messing around with Corey Lewandowski. But that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with her. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's doing. Look, they're going at it. They're having at it with these illegals.
Right.
And, you know, I just don't. And the whole thing is they bring this up. Somebody always brings stuff up like this. The problem is, once you get rid of somebody, now you've got to find somebody else and get them confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mess.
Right.
So you're going to have a seat that's empty for what, 5-6 months?
Yeah. I mean, you that's the thing. That's I think most people don't really take into context is that, you know, going through the process of going through another ordeal where you have to nominate somebody and they have to go through the Senate, the select to basically, you know, confirm or not confirm this person. It's kind of like, you know, I mean, that's why I always say about Patel and Bongino and all these other people and Bondi, it's like, be careful what you're saying. And a lot of these picks are, like I said, they're window dressing. They're not necessarily there what you think they're there. They're there to fill a position and fill a role. Are they really there? I mean, do you really think what is really going on in the Department of Homeland Security? Is she really in control of it? I mean, is she just window dressing? I hate to say that in some way, but you have to consider what's the power behind the president, and he wields it greatly. And, you know, using these people there as he puppeteers them, as he moves them around and stuff, seems pretty easy. Why would you want to put someone else in there? It's going to be a problem or confrontational in some way that might push back. I mean, he might have a good relationship with her. He might be able to utilize her and wield her the way he wants to. I don't know what the palace drama is in some way, but obviously it's Lewandowski more than her. I mean, they dismissed the rumors. I mean, he comes out and dismissed the rumors. None of this is true. Is this just another way of the media trying to inject the BS, just like they're doing at Hegseth, and bring her down in some way? Look, there's a lot of people that want more of the escalation. They want more ICE, they want more arrests, they want more deportations and stuff. You know, I think they're doing as best they can. I think it's going to ramp up next year. I'm not really sure. And why would you want to waste the time of going through another type of hearing where you want to go through another confirmation? I mean, it's just a pain in the ass in some way. Look, will there be people leaving the administration come next year? Yes, I believe so. I saw what you said. Trump won. Some people say Susie Wiles. I don't know about that. I don't know if she is. Plus, Scavino was placed in an interesting position. Some people saying Scavino, Trump won, might replace Wiles. I don't know. Wiles was out there today saying President Trump is going on a barrage, a tour right now throughout the United States, probably going in through next year to help, let's just say, wield the power to help the Republicans maintain office in some way. I mean, look, you're going to have a lot more people resigning, stepping back for a lot of reasons and stuff. We understand that, and more people coming in and out, and that's a good thing, Marshall. I mean, I want the turnover to happen. You don't want the same rot and filth to stay in there. And like when people say, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're resigning by the 5th. You campaigned for this position and stuff like that. Hey, you don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to do it anymore. I mean, no sweat off her ass. You know what I'm saying? Put someone else in there that Trump's going to nominate or support, and then run that person. There'll probably be a special election, what have you. Go ahead.
And the real tell in that article was when they bring up near the end, they conveniently slip in Glenn Youngkin.
Yeah.
So that tells me everything I need to know about the asshole that wrote that article. You're full of shit, dude. You're trying to get Glenn Youngkin in there, what you're really trying to do.
Yeah.
And Glenn
who I think is a rhino, personally.
He's a total rhino.
Yeah, a never Trumper.
Yeah, and he allowed the in Northern Virginia, he allowed the boys to continue to go into the girls' bathrooms even after one of these girls got raped. They moved her to another school, and they kept allowing it. So he didn't do anything about any of that shit. None.
No, I know. Alita, not sure Youngkin is not a Trumper. No, for a while he's not. He was very critical of President Trump.
And I'm from Virginia.
Yeah, I would go back and see some of Youngkin's comments about President Trump back in the day, even though he supported him for governor. What's up, Skydog? What's up, fellas? Nacian. I couldn't keep up pace after a couple of months. Oh, yeah, no problem. Thank you, Thea, for the cookie and the phone. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. If you want to help out the show, you can help out marshallkofi.com/surfdog74.
Youngkin also brought in Winsome Sears.
Yeah.
Who was even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally said that Trump was a liability. She did not want him to campaign for her.
Mm-hmm.
Neither did Youngkin. I mean, neither did Youngkin. Neither one of them were like, "Oh, we don't want you to come do rallies for us."
Right. So, I mean, I think the point of the article is that it was a hit piece to slide Youngkin in there to think that, hey, the Republican establishment is back and they're coming back into Trump's office per se. And that's what people worried about with Marco Rubio. He's done a fantastic job as Secretary of State, among other things, And I think when you consider that, and you start to see people percolate and pop up as filling positions in the Trump orbit, if they're going to be coming up and stuff, you have to see who is writing these hit pieces and who are they writing them for. I mean, there are probably a lot of people that want Youngkin in there. I don't see Youngkin going to be in this administration, not at a position that you think is a captain level.
He would have been a mole. He would have been a mole.
Yeah, exactly. I don't trust Youngkin per se. And Marshall's right. I mean, what had transpired with Virginia, and what happened with Sears and the way things were, they didn't want to run anybody good. They didn't put. I think this whole thing was allowed to be stolen or just taken over in some way. And can you blame Youngkin on this? Well, yeah, you're the governor. You should be picking somebody. You nominate who you support, but you supported the lieutenant governor. How did that work out? Trump didn't support her. So you could see where a lot of people were pissed off about this. And this really, if they had a better candidate, they probably would have had a better shot at winning. Maybe. That's if there wasn't no shenanigans going around. Skydog 330 dropping a $5 rummer. Trump is supreme allied commander of global military operations. Civilian positions mean nothing at this point. Yeah, exactly. That's part of the argument that I'm trying to preface, that none of these positions, these cabinet positions, like everybody's like you're saying, Skydog, that like get rid of Bondi or Bongi. Do you really think they're the ones with this intrinsic power, inherent power that they just President Trump and his team are running this? All right. They're the ones. Do you think what just transpired this past week with the whole thing with the J6 bomber and stuff, you think that was a fluke? We were talking about it on Friday, that it was they got the defective detective Monk to figure this out. Come on. No way. Monk. This was dropped at the right time. Perfectly handed. Here you go. Here's your talking point. Here's your script. Read this out. All right. And there you go. And then just say, hey, it was covered up by this guy. It was uncovered, this great plotting and stuff. So, all right, moving on. So on OAN here news, Trump Jr. suggests president may walk away from Ukraine entirely. I think so. I think more and more that we see that Ukraine is imploding because of what's going on with the grift and the graft and the fraud and the waste and the abuse, what's happening, all these billions of dollars that went to Ukraine and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars just being seized by levels of assets inside the Ukrainian government that are basically just, I think Zelensky's going to dip out. I think he's going to cut and run. I think they got someone ready to go. I think this is perfectly planned. But speaking at a forum on Doho on Sunday, let me blow this up because I watched it. It was pretty good. People like, oh, you're watching Qatar and all this stuff. You're a traitor. Speaking at a forum at Doha on Sunday, Trump Jr. criticized a major corruption in Ukraine, which penetrated the highest levels of government in Kiev, including President Zelensky's longtime chief of staff, Andriy Yermak, who resigned after facing massive embezzlement. He's not alone. I mean, think about how much money Zelensky's embezzled. Yermak, the former lead negotiator for Ukraine, who was widely regarded as the second most powerful figure in the nation, resigned. Anti-corruption, $100 million theft. Trump Jr. spoke on a recent visit to Monaco, stating that 50% of the supercars, the Bugattis, the Ferraris, that this all had Ukrainian license plates. Wow. We sent our own tax dollars over there and they buy cars. This is what it was. This was the biggest grift and graft. Do we think this actually was earned in Ukraine? No. I've been in Ukraine 20 years ago. It wasn't like this. There was a plethora of wealth there. And yet you see the number 2 there getting arrested for stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. When I see every license plate on a supercar in Monaco being Bugattis, which the rich fled, they let what they believed to be the peasant class fight these wars. And there was no incentive to stop because as long as the money train was coming in, they were stealing it and no one was auditing anything. That's true. Congress didn't audit it. We still can't get it audited. Is the money gone? Probably. I don't know whatever's going to come for this. The leaders, the decision makers, there's no reason for them to ever come to peace. Zelensky has remained in power since introducing martial law, thereby postponing a presidential election. Is he legitimate? It's the same argument with Maduro. I mean, he basically shut down these elections. So is he really legitimate? That otherwise would have taken place in 2024. Because of the war, and because he's one great marketer, all times Zelensky's become borderline deity, especially to the left, where he could do no wrong. He was beyond reproach. No, you know why he was beyond reproach? Because he was on the take. All right. And when you're on the take, you're part of the grift and the graft, and you know where the money's going left and right, and you're part of the theft too. Of course, they're going to go along. It's one big happy club. Trump Jr. was asked whether the president may walk away from focusing on secure a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine altogether, which he spotted. I think he may. Wow. What's good about my father, what's unique about my father is you don't know what he's going to do. The fact is he's not predictable. He's not following the playbook of every clown who's, again, been a bureaucrat. I love Don Jr. For decades, he continued. The president forces everyone to actually deal in intellectual honesty and a capacity. We want peace. We want to stop the death. If we default to the old ways of America, it's just going to be the big idiot with the checkbook. That's not going to work. That's not going to happen. Yeah, look, I'm not going to go on. I think I think it's plausible to suggest in some way when the articles were coming out on Mediaite and Axios and President Trump was asked at the Kennedy Center in some way, why hasn't Zelensky read the peace deal in some way? He was surprised about that in some way. But I think that's something, to consider that this whole thing, he was never going to be a part of that peace deal. I think he's going to go bye-bye, and then whoever's going to move up will be handling and signing that over. What do you think, Marshall?
I think that I think Trump is probably going to do it.
Yeah.
I think he should.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that
you think he's going to walk away?
Yes, I do. I think I think he should, because all it does is just get, we have no business in this mess.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and no more, none. People are done with this.
Yeah, I don't think anybody cares. I mean, look, it's sad to say because $350 billion, I don't know if we're ever going to get back. I know that we signed those land rights and those minerals and all these other deals in some way. So maybe we'll be able to recuperate that loss probably in the long term. But overall, when you think about the death and the destruction, we don't even know what's going on over there. We never see anything about that. All we know is they took money from us, all right, and this war continues on. And if we walk away, that gives Russia a bigger, let's just say, appetite, I think, to move forward in a bigger way to seize more land. And that's the other thing that you got to consider, because Europe's not going to do anything about it, because we're not going to be shipping missiles to Europe, to NATO, so they could sell to them on the black market, because it wasn't going to fight the war. It was going so they could make money and profit off this. That's the deal. That's how all this thing was set up. And think about all the money that was rerouted through LLCs and all these different things that are coming back to the grift on these senators and congressmen. I mean, we need to track all this stuff. Can we? I don't know. I mean, but you need to find out how this is going to come back in any way. But it's disgraceful in some way to think that, these never-ending wars, what do they get? This should be a reminder of what it's like for us to be involved with anything going forward that has nothing to do with the United States at all. And even though that the Obama administration back in 2014 were doing all this crazy stuff, which forced them, I think, in some way, Russia to move forward on, and invade Crimea. I think it started in 2009 and 14 to take over. And you know what? When you're starting to set up biolabs and all these shops and military apparatuses in there, what do you expect that's going to happen? Yeah. Did it come from this administration? No, but it has to end with this administration. And I think this is a good start.
And I do think that Trump is going to give, it's basically given Vladimir Putin the green light to just say, you know what? Go and take those sections that belong to you, that were originally part of Russia in the first place. That's going to shore up, as SmackDown said, that's going to shore up or help shore up the NATO. NATO is the problem, because NATO has constantly encroached Russia's borders over the last number of decades. They've gradually grown more and more and more and closer towards Russia. That's the whole problem. That's what. And I don't blame Putin.
Right.
I mean, would we want China, Brett? Would we want China on the Mexican border?
No.
I don't think so.
They're already on our southern hemisphere. Nip it away. I don't know what's happening
why we're
there.
Down there.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're sealing off that whole area. I mean, it's more than that. It's also about mineral rights and all these other mining operations and all this other stuff that's taking place that a lot of people are not aware of. And I think that if you are Russia, if you're going to push them back as far as you can into Ukraine and force a settlement on them, there you go. Because Europe is not going to do anything. With President Trump's NSS, his new strategy that he's looking at the Western Hemisphere, the Southern Hemisphere in some way, the troop deployment or the amount that they're going to drop it to is they want to keep it at 76,000 in some way. But, President Trump might want to consider that, hey, look, if we feel that our troops are in danger, because Congress wants to authorize this through the new NDA. And, there's certain provisions in this new NDA that limits what President Trump can do with troop withdrawals in Europe. I'm pulling out bases, pulling out military equipment in some way. Europe has to learn to defend itself.
Yes.
And I'm getting tired of the idea that we have to, in some way, not only contribute to NATO, help put in more than we're asking for, and everybody else is being forced to do the same. I mean, the idea that this is going to continue on, it's ridiculous. Yes, it will force NATO to do something in some way, but that's on them. Germany, Great Britain, Ireland, all these countries have massive problems right now, and their problem is that it's internal. It's not Russia. It's not China per se. It's internal for all the migration that's come into their countries. And I don't know what's going to get settled. I really don't with how they're going to make it. They're definitely going to go into a civil war. There's no doubt about it. When you look at countries in Europe, there are many countries right now that are on a seesaw that are about to explode, just like the United States in a lot of ways. President Trump's national approval rating surges 5 points since November, shocking the experts, Harvard-Harris poll. The attacks aren't landing. Donald Trump is on track to save the Republican Party in 2026 if Republicans in Congress only listen to him. Yeah, I think so. I think this is look, we were talking about the blue wave, blue hair wave, and, CNN wants to tout that and suggest that, that's what's coming and stuff. Fine. I want that. Out there. I want people to think that in some way we could lose the House, especially with a lot of members that are resigning for various reasons and stuff. And it's Republicans and Democrats. I mean, it doesn't matter. So the seats are going to be a free for all. I mean, next year it's going to be a free for all, and that's fine. The question is, you got to get the right people in there. Make sure there's no rhino cucks. Look, I think that the concept with tonight's show, party affiliations, which we're going to go into, and understanding what's taken place, what happened. Let me start with that right now. We're going to get into MTG. And I think this is a good example. The party affiliations, the loyalty that's taking place, the stuff that she said on Leslie Stahl really just reminded me of what we're dealing with right now. Let me blow this up. And I think this was a good overview. There was a couple of things I wanted to see. It says, Marjorie Taylor Greene doubled down on her criticism of President Trump in an interview on CBS's 60 Minutes on Sunday, less than a month. In the interview, Greene stood by the defiant stances she's taken against the president in recent months and said some of the GOP colleagues stay mum because they're terrified of publicly breaking with the president. Well, they should be terrified. They should be terrified for two reasons. Number one, they were never towing the line. They were riding his coattails, all right, so they can get reelected. Number two, a lot of them are crooked. They're crooks. They're off the griff and the graft and stuff, and they should be worried about all the double dealings they were doing on the side. Of course, Greene says Republicans in the Congress make fun of Trump behind his back. Yes, I never said in any way, in any of these people, I would say a majority of these people are not Trump. They're not. And so it's great. We're going to go through election. People are resigning. New people have new positions to run. The Georgian said that it shocked people to hear how our GOP colleagues talk about President Trump behind closed doors. Greene said as recently as last year, our colleagues would make fun of Trump by starting kissing his ass when he won the 2024 GOP primary. They should be scared. Behind the scenes, they do talk differently. CBS Leslie Stahl asked, yes, Greene said, how? It would shock people. Well, shock people, Stahl said, how? Okay, I watched my colleagues go from making fun of him to making fun of how he talks, making fun of me constantly for supporting him, to when he won the primary in 24, all started to, excuse my language, Leslie, kissing his ass and decided to put on a MAGA hat for the first time. I mean, look, you could look at McCarthy. That's why he's no longer speaker. Look what he said during January 6th. President Trump should be in jail, all these people in there. A lot of these people, when you even go back to January 6th, so some of the Republicans that are in there said some horrible things about January 6th, said a lot of things about all of us in general, about President Trump. Of course they don't. Greene said that they're all rhino cucks. They're all part of the same cloth. All right. That's this party affiliation. All right. When you look at Democrat, Republican, it's the same thing. It's no different. Who's worse, who's better? It doesn't matter at this point. They don't mean anything. It's good versus evil and everything else in between. I'm going to ask you about the most almost solid support that he has among Republicans in Congress. Is there support for? Does the support come about because they're afraid they'll get the death threats? Stahl asked. I think they're terrified to step out of line and get a nasty True Social post, Greene said, and they're watching what happened to you. Well, good. Greene says Trump fueled death threats against her family. All right. Georgian Republicans said the president's own words directly fueled death threats to her son. Whatever the subject line for the direct threats on my son was his words. Marjorie Taylor Greene referring to the president's newfound label for her. These death threats fueled President Trump's Greene added. She said she alerted the president and Vice President Vance to the death threats, and Trump, according to Greene, sent an extremely unkind response. I told J.D. Vance, I told them all, sent those directly to them. Greene said, J.D. Vance replied back, well, I'll look into it. And got a response from Trump and said, we'll keep it private. But it wasn't very nice to all press. Give us a hint of what the president said. It was extremely unkind. I mean, look, she goes on Leslie Stahl and she's bitching and moaning about because President Trump didn't support her for a senatorial role and stuff. So she decided to drop out. She didn't see the writing on the wall. She can't go back because her own colleagues hate her in general. And even though that she says that she's America first, she's not AIPAC and stuff like that. She says the Trump policies aren't America first. She reiterated her concern that the president is too focused on international agenda, isn't prioritizing needs of the Americans. For America, first president, the number one focus should have been domestic policy, and it wasn't. And so, of course, I was critical because of those of my campaign fixes. Once we fix everything here, then we'll be fine. He did this in the same span. He brought in al-Qaeda leader that it wasn't wanted by the U.S. government, was now president of Syria. What do you want him to do? The guy was elected as the president of Syria. What do you want him to do? Not speak with them? Not talk with them? There's a lot of people all over the world that are bad actors and stuff. What do you want to know? Not talk with them? Not deal with them? He's the president. He has to deal with them. So, yeah, did he have to bring him in the Oval Office? I don't know. But what's the point? Are these people really in control anyway? Who murdered an American journalist? MBS. So you want to not like work deals out? They're working deals to settle the Middle East peace process. All these other things, that the money, the infusion that's coming into the United States to help what? Reinvigorate us, to help what? Build businesses back. That was the time span. He called me a traitor. Green now describes our ideological viewpoint as America first, but would accept the MAGA layup. All right, Marshall, your thoughts here.
Yeah, I mean, look, she rode Trump's coattails. We all
just
knew,
like them, just like
yeah,
them.
of course. And we all knew from the beginning that she's a big blowhard. She cheated on her husband. That would have been why the Georgia people didn't. They had to have known that.
Right.
Why would you vote?
She's
for
a hypocrite
somebody?
and an opportunist. Let's just
Yeah,
face it.
it's
She's no different
all,
than all the
it's
people
all
that
she,
she accuses.
it's all she is, and they should have never voted for her in the first place. If they knew that what her past was like,
Mhm.
why would you vote for somebody like that?
Yeah.
Come on. Do you think that they're going to not cheat on you too?
Mhm.
In a way, she cheated on her constituents.
Of course.
By being this way.
Look, she could have decided to stay on until November, but she chose not to and not run again. But I do believe there's something else there. I do believe there's something else there. Like many other people were handed their let's just say their pink note, and they were said it's time for you to go, or you're going to be brought up on charges. I think so. So when you start to see all these people resigning, you have to consider that. Was she handed a pink note? Probably. She was probably told, hey, look, end it now. End it now. And we don't know how bad it was. We don't know how much money she was grifting and grafting. We don't know what she did per se. But you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. And that's the whole point about turnover. A lot of these people in there, they're fair weather. They're not there. They're not there for President Trump. They're not there for you and I. They're there to collect a paycheck and make as many investments as they can so they can get rich. I mean, that's it. Trump loses on Paramount over 60 minutes sit down with trader Marjorie Taylor Greene. All right, here it is. The sprawling screen on Truth. President Brandon Greene, traitor Brown, claimed that she'd been jilted and ranted that she had really bad ideas. But his criticism extended perhaps more notably because of the Leslie Stahl discussion. The only reason Marjorie Taylor Greene, traitor Brown, Greene turns Brown under stress. She went bad. And is that what she was jilted by the president of the United States? Certainly not the first time she has been jilted. Wow. Too much work, not enough time, and our ideas are now really bad. She sort of reminds me of Rotten Apple. Oh, I'm not going to read any more from this, but look, I think everybody can get the idea that that Marjorie Taylor Greene is no different from all these other people. All right, some are worse than others. I think the way that she went after her colleagues in there, I mean, they all turned on her. She realized that she has no place, no seat in there. Leslie Stahl going back and forth with it and saying, well, you said some things. And I'm like, yeah, I said some things. So what? So did President Trump. So you said some things. We said some things. What difference does it make? None of this really has any relevance. It has no meaning. Does it affect your life? No, it doesn't. All right. So again, keep your eye on the idea between what loyalty is. These are party affiliations. They mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. You're just looking at, there are really bad people in the House and Senate, and there are decent people, maybe. All right. And that's what it is. It's good and evil, and it's fighting the corruption at every level. And who cares? Does anybody believe that a lot of these congressmen and senators don't support President Trump or don't talk shit behind his back? Just look at Thomas Massey. Just look at Rand Paul. There are many people like that. I mean, what's going on with the 90-year-old guy from Iowa, all right, with the blue slips, Chuck Grassley? What's he doing? You know, he's got, what, 7 or 8 freaking district attorneys and stuff. Now he's got to renominate every single time. President Trump talked about it. We're going to get into that. But what's disgraceful about that is that, what, he can't get these people confirmed? Over the weekend, they pushed, 90 people through, but they can't get these U.S. district attorneys across. And now Helena Abba stepped down. You have Halligan stepped down. He's got to renominate or put new people there and stuff. Why are they doing this? Why are they slow walking? Is it meant for us to see? Is there a plan in place? What do you think, Marshall?
MTG is like the ex-girlfriend that slashes the tires and scratches the guy's car. And that's essentially what she's doing right there.
Yep.
I mean, it's just total vindictiveness. So totally immature.
Right.
I mean, just walk away, man. You
walk away and shut your mouth.
Yeah,
I mean, you look like a
fool
or
whatever it was.
it's embarrassing how she's acting. Yes, she looks like a jilted lover, a child. I mean, why are you speaking like that? Why are you going at 60 Minutes? You're going on The View. Why are you acting like this? Why are you spilling your dirty laundry? I mean, I don't understand it for the life of me, why people act like this in some way, but let's continue on. So President Trump, if you put up, here we go. President Trump says rips the Senate GOP and Chuck Grassley for letting Democrats obstruct his appointments of the U.S. Attorney Alina Habba. See, it's not just this. So everybody thinks like Chuck Grassley's, oh yeah. All these people are in a position of power to hamper and limit the president's ability moving forward. 7 U.S. attorneys will have to quit soon because the GOP is doing nothing. And yet he's going to go on a tour, campaign for them next year to get them elected in the House and in the Senate. And he's going to do all this because he's the only guy who can do it. They can't even do it for themselves. And that's sad. If I put up George Washington in Virginia, where you have Democrat senators, they won't approve him. This gentleman's agreement, blue slip, has lasted too long, and it means you can't appoint a GOP U.S. attorney. Yeah, in Virginia, New Jersey, California, U.S. attorney or judge, the only people you can get by are the Democrats because they put a hold on it. It's sad, and it's not right, and it's done on purpose.
In New Jersey after the courts disqualified her. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, she's not disqualified. You've got a blue slip thing that's horrible. It's a horrible thing. It makes it impossible to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney, and it's a shame. And the Republicans should be ashamed of themselves that they allow this to go on, because I can't appoint a U.S. attorney that's not a Democrat because they put a block on it. So if you appoint in Virginia or in New Jersey or in California a U.S. attorney or a judge, I mean, a judge situation is ridiculous. The only people that you can get by are Democrats because they will put a hold on it. If I put up George Washington and Abraham Lincoln to be U.S. attorney in New Jersey or to be U.S. attorney in Virginia, we have Democrat senators, they will not approve them. And this is a gentleman's agreement that's lasted for too long. And it doesn't make it, especially in light of what's going on today. It means you can't appoint a Republican U.S. attorney, and we don't play the same game with them, but they do. And I hope that somebody speaks to Senator Grassley about doing something about the blue slip, because I'm telling you, John, I put up great people, top people, highest education, the best lawyers to be like U.S. attorney, and both senators, it only takes one. But if they're Democrat senators, they say, we're not going to approve it. I had a couple of them say, why don't you appoint Democrats? All because Senator Grassley, with his blue slip stuff, will not let anybody go by. By the way, the Democrats have violated the blue slip provision on numerous occasions, but we don't do it. And what it means is, I guess I just have to keep appointing people for 3 months and then just appoint another one. And it's a very sad situation. We're losing a lot of great people. We have about 7 U.S. attorneys who are not going to be able to keep their jobs much longer because of the blue slip. Because I think I know why they did that, to protect their ass. Okay, that's why they did that. But it should be done away with. I want to be able to appoint the most highly educated, the most respected people. They can't keep their jobs because of the blue slips. Terrible.
There you go. And so you think that the people that are supposedly allied with President Trump are going to work on the side to get these things done. They're not. You think John Thune, he's a never Trumper.
Total stiff.
Guy's a total freaking loser. I mean, you listen to some of the stuff he said back in the day about January 6th, about President Trump, all the stuff. President Trump should be arrested. We all should be in jail for January 6th. These people are still towing the line, and these people are in charge. You think they're there? You want new people. I mean, at this point, I don't know what else we can do. I mean, maybe we're reaching a certain point where something is going to happen. Force these people into submission, and they resign. You get new people in place. That's most likely what's going to take place. Speaking of resignations, did anybody see the resignation of the police chief of D.C.? All right. I don't think a lot of people understand what's going on in D.C. You have the mayor not running again. I don't know if there's going to be a new mayoral let's just say, candidacy. You haven't heard anything about that. You haven't heard anybody talk about that. You also hear about city council people resigning, and now the police chief is suddenly resigning. What does that mean? That means DC is going federalized. All right. They're going to take control. I think the House, which already has control of that, and there'll be a new authority overseeing the council for DC per se. I think this is a good thing. Yeah, and this police chief, by the way, all right, resigned because of the data manipulation investigation, the scandal. She was handed her hat. She saw the writing on the wall. She was told to resign or face consequences. In a sudden announcement, DC's police chief has announced she is resigning. The police chief is resigning, comes weeks into 2 National Guard members that were shot just blocks away from the mouth. It's not because of that. DC Police Chief Pamela Smith is resigning her position after 2.5 years on the job. She announces a DEI black chief of police. Okay. No qualifications. You'll understand. Smith has faced intense pressure from President Trump's administration, which took over the MPD earlier this year and deployed federal law enforcement. Crime is out of control. All right. And what they were doing is they were jerry-rigging the numbers to keep them down so they wouldn't have more money coming in. They'd hire more police force. And also the idea or proposition of thought that they would bring in the National Guard to fix the problem. And that was basically done. So there comes a time when you just know it's time. Smith told Axios, which first reported the resignation, "I'm deeply humbled, grateful, blah, blah, blah." Bowser praised Smith's work as police chief in her own statement. She is resigning because she played loose and fast with the manipulation investigation, with basically changing the numbers about the crime statistics of the murder, the rapes, all the robberies, all these different things. Smith faced criticism from DC resident who claimed she allowed MPD officers to assist federal agents in immigration enforcement, a claim she denies. We're not aligned with ICE, what have you. But I think in some way people understand the writing on the wall of DC is now going to change. It's going to go back to what it should have been, all right, as an authority, not under MPD. It's not going to be under, it's going to be federalized, it'll be localized, it'll be DC will have its own control. There will be an operation from there, no mayor, no police chief per se. I don't know if they're going to put something in interim for the time being. Who's going to take this over? Who's the council going to fill in this position? But this is all based on, I think, DC being dismantled in the way we think it's going to be, Marshall.
You know, and I will go again and say what I said a little while earlier. These people, I am so sick of them. We have got to get rid of these people. It's enough, man. Look, man, can we please have some competent people? I mean, we had a black police. I believe she was a captain. She was on the force 30 years, and I think it was somewhere here in Florida. She was on the force 30 years, did a bang-up job. She was on the money, and she retired after 30 years. And they kind of told a short synopsis of her story. She's in the car, the wagon, talking on that. Then they were giving her congratulations on her 30 years and her retirement. That is the kind of people we need. She did a competent job. That's it, man.
No,
Competence.
I know.
No DEI. No DEI.
No, I know. Thank you, Thea, for the cookie. Look, I agree. It's not just that. I think there's so much corruption, so much fraud, so much waste, so much abuse. And I think that they play loose and fast with the numbers. And I think in some way, when you really break it down, it's, the lack of competency, the lack of people that have the viability to do the job, to get the job done quickly. And I think we haven't heard anything about the mayor's office in DC. So this sets a good example that maybe that this is all coming to an end. I wonder how this is going to unfold. I'm looking forward to see how that's going to unfold. So I got a lot of pushback on Friday regarding the Netflix Warner Brother deal and my discussion about how I feel about this in some way. And I think people who left comments, you really don't understand what's going on. You think it's like, fuck Hollywood, burn it all down and let it come crashing down. Meanwhile, there's going to be, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of jobs. People are going to be out of business, a lot of money that's going to be gone. But what's going to happen if Netflix takes over Warner Brothers? See, you forget the fact is that Netflix and the people that sit on the board are going to push more pedo stuff, more trans and gay stuff, and they're going to have a wider swath of audience to push it at. They're going to make Bugs Bunny gay, Batman gay, Superman gay. They're going to do a lot of stuff, all right? And I think this is a problem. I think it's not just a disaster that you think it is in some way about bringing down Hollywood, not having theatrical movies because no one has or because like I was showing James Cameron, he hasn't made a good movie in a long time. Fine, fair enough. That's not the point here. If they get control, it'll be another monopoly. All right. And the problem is with that monopoly, your prices are going to go up because of the shareholders. So if you want to have Netflix or Warner Brothers or any of this stuff that you want to watch this crap on, well, you know what? Your prices are going to double. They're going to skyrocket. And now this deal might be what? All right. It might not go into effect because it's not going to pass the trade agreement. They're going to have to go through oversight with the Justice Department about figuring how to work this out. And I got a couple of articles about it, but you should consider certain parameters about this. Trump has thought about the $72 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers. He said their combined market share could be a problem, and he would be involved in the deal. In 2017, Trump proposed AT&T's proposed acquisition of Time Warner. Think about that. All right. So going forward, President Trump is getting involved in Netflix Warner Brothers deal. Apparently, his son-in-law, Kushner, his companies come in there, and they're working with, I believe, Ellison and other people to make a larger share offer to Warner Brothers. I think it went from $72 to $108 billion. If the deal goes through, Netflix's biggest acquisition to date. All right, let me show you another article about that. Who said this? Carl Jung's family owns Netflix. It's all about mind manipulation. Yes, that's another thing to think about.
Yeah, it's all the film industry has always been about that, just like the music industry.
Right. And the thing is, Netflix is a very, let's just say, look.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good at all. And I think a lot of people, it's odd that this is happening when President Trump touted the idea of making Hollywood better and making movies better and stuff and getting stuff done and productions are done. Paramount, Netflix building a bidding war for Warner Brothers heats up. You can see the offer, $27 to $30 a share. Now, I know that what he called came in apparently and offered Paramount came back in with an offer of $108 billion that they're going to jump in here. So Fox Business reporter Gasparino noted that the shares are getting slammed, breaking Netflix. The bigger issue is less the leaks about the pending antitrust implications over this deal. See, it's already out there that it's happening. That's why the stocks are going down. A lot of people think that even if this merger goes through, that they would run into this and the Justice Department would basically not sign off on it. Paramount has raised more than a $30 share, all cash tender offer to Warner Bros., a superior alternative to Netflix deal. All cash offer, $108 billion. Structure Paramount proposes for all Warner Brothers and Discovery. It's Discovery that's selling this without leaving the shareholders with the subscale, let's just say highly leveraged stub. The argument here is that, look, if they get shares, market share of this, all these other platforms are going to change completely. We hear Netflix might buy Disney now if this doesn't go through. So fully backstop equity. Ellison's family, Redbird, committed debt, cleaner structure. Paramount buys all rather than leaving investors holding the global network spin out. Regulatory path. Paramount argues its deal is simple while noting Netflix would likely face lengthy global antitrust fights. And I think the key is they want to leave Warner Brothers alone. They don't want to change it. They want to descale it in some way. The argument about what's going to happen, CNN, what's going to happen about other news platforms per se, that's in tow. But I think the argument here is that they don't want to change it. If Netflix gets control of this, I believe that all the stuff that falls on the Warner Brothers is going to be flipped and changed. Yes, you got to think about the NFL, CBS, NBC, all these different things that are not NBC, but you got to think about all the sports and all the stuff that's related to this that they will pick up. Boxing, the fighting. I don't know what HBO and Cinemax show these days. I don't watch it anymore. But this is something to consider. I know a lot of people are not really looking at it. Creates a Hollywood studio champion with larger content budgets. All right. Stronger theatrical footprint and support for movie theaters. Bigger, more profitable direct-to-consumer platform. I think so. That would be fair. More competitive versus Netflix, Amazon, and Disney. Tech boost via Oracle. Major global sports rights portfolio. Probably get more soccer. Probably a lot of other things. Stronger linear networks, ad business, and over $6 billion in cost synergies plus existing Paramount transformation. Brett, why are you so involved in this per se? What do you think this is so big? Because I'm looking at the bigger picture of what Netflix is. Netflix is a very dark and ominous, platform. And I think what it'll do is it will showcase a lot of the stuff that Warner Brothers owns that falls under them directly, and they will pervert it. They will pervert it in ways that you won't like. They will transform it, and they'll ruin it. The DC Comics, thinks about what they will do with DC Comics. Think about what they have with Superman and Batman and all these other different things that you'd like to watch. So you have to consider where Netflix is going to be going with this. And think about, not all theatrical trailers that come on Netflix work out this way. And I think that there's a bigger thing out there about saving jobs and making sure that Hollywood is redone in this matter. And I think there's a possibility that could be fixed. I don't know. Maybe I'm not seeing this, Marshall, correctly. A lot of people don't like this at all.
Well, you said it right, because what they'll do is they'll take movies like, as if they haven't already done that or tried to do it with movies like The Wizard of Oz,
right,
and turn it into something completely unlike. Totally, they'll take all these great movies and turn them into shit.
Mm-hmm.
Turn them into some woke gay ass crap. No, we can't have that, Brett. We need to have competition.
Yeah.
We need to have.
You want to see Bugs Bunny as trans or gay? I mean,
yeah, can you imagine that?
I mean,
they won't even allow Bugs Bunny on anymore because of all the stuff back then, man. It was like,
well,
but it was great stuff.
Right,
it was great stuff, man.
That's the point.
It's not just base.
Yeah, but that's the point about it's just an example. What I'm saying is that, I mean, Netflix will have a large swath and control, and as whoever was pointing that out, is that they will have a greater, let's just say, lens of manipulation and projection for the future, that I think that will, let's just say, will be focused on the kids. Okay. And I think that would be disconcerting in some way, especially with all the cartoons and all these other things that falls under Warner Brothers that people do watch. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Obama's on the board of Netflix.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, that's another.
Now look at some of the movies they put out.
Yeah, weird shit that nobody wants.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of movies that, and I mean,
cuties ones with all the little girls and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's not. Yeah, there's something more to this than just, Paramount taking this over for a better deal. And they could even talk about lowering the prices. I'm concerned about what's the fallout from this thereafter, about getting a monopoly. Google's a monopoly. You got all these companies that are monopolies. Amazon's a monopoly. I mean, think about it. You're just going to have a small group of companies just own this much, and that's it. And you're going to pay through the nose. You're not going to, eventually you're just not going to be able to afford anything to watch. You have to go find some way to get a black and white TV, put rabbit ears on it, put a fucking satellite up and watch it for free. Because that's where we're going. And that's it. Yes, tied into sports. I don't watch TV whatsoever except a few Buckeye games. Yeah, I watched that Indiana-Ohio State game. Holy shit, on Saturday. Oh, wow. That was impressive. It was impressive. All right, moving on. Benny Johnson suggests he's duty-bound to sue Milo Yiannopoulos for claiming he slept with boys. What the fuck? Look, see, this is the point where things get out of control. When you start crossing lines in this matter, accusing people of these things, and you slandering them and libeling them, this ain't going to be good. Gearing up to sue Milo after the British provocateur claimed Johnson's family man image is bogus, and then he's open secret he slept with boys at political conferences. Wow. I'm duty-bound to take action to protect my family against those who maliciously defame and attack me. More to come on that soon. It's kind of what I said, on Friday. We left off. Some people were critical of me about, Candace Owens. And I didn't say anything. I'm just saying I hope Candace Owens basically does a show with them. That's what I want. I'm neither here or there about it. I'm trying to put it in some context that I hope they actually have an opportunity to hash it out. I'd like to see it. It would be great TV or whatever you want to call it. A great podcast. I want it. I mean, sling some arrows. Let's go. Let's see it. I want to see the fight. And it's not about what's going to be said or not going to be said. I just want to see the interaction. And I think many people would do. And so that's what I was meaning about that. But I'm duty bound to take action to protect my family, Johnson posted on X. He asked his 4 million followers to pray for healing for some really sick and delusional people. Jesus is about redemption. The legal system is about justice. Johnson did not reference Yiannopoulos specifically, but it looks like it's a good bet that he was talking about concerning his wife. Kate Johnson posted a few hours ago earlier that Yiannopoulos needs a prayer and a good attorney. Wow. The potential lawsuit comes 2 days after Yiannopoulos accused Johnson of being a not so stealth gay man until Paul's podcast. Benny Johnson's post pictures of his children every 2 days. It's weird. And everybody knows they went on with Benny Johnson in those lobbies and in those hotel rooms. SAS, Yiannopoulos said, referring to Turning Point USA's annual student action summit. Everybody knows. Okay. His guest on the episode, recently freed ex-Congressman George Santos, said he did not know what he was talking about. Men younger, not underage. At least I don't know that. His wife was crying drunk in a lobby, 3 SASs in a row, and how her husband was upstairs with boys. Come on, Santos said. Go ask her. Yiannopoulos yelled, Milo, aren't you scared of getting sued? Santos marveled. Yiannopoulos said he is not worried about it because he is right and always his facts are straight. Okay. I mean, this is what he said.
One of the most distinctive things about the right wing in this country is its homosexual overtones. Benny Johnson posts pictures of his children every 2 days. It's weird. And everybody knows what went on with Benny Johnson in those lobbies and in those hotel rooms at SAS. Everybody knows.
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Men, younger men, not underage. At least I don't know that. His wife was crying drunk in the lobby 3 sasses in a row about how her husband was upstairs with boys.
Come on.
Like, go ask her.
Come on.
Go ask her.
Come on, Milo.
Go ask her.
Milo, aren't you ever scared of getting sued? You say some crazy. I'm sitting here like I am humbled by the lore and your ability.
The audacity.
I mean, there's no teapots in this room right now to express how I feel.
George, I have said these things about people for 20 years and never once in my career been sued. I've issued 3 corrections in my entire journalistic career because I get my facts right. And people know that they do not want to go through discovery.
Actually, I want to say this.
I've never been sued for anything I've ever said about anyone.
The one thing I need to say this.
Because I'm right.
The most terrifying thing about Milo.
Wow. You know what? I mean, he called out, he started the Fed thing about Fuentes, and then all of a sudden you saw Elon Musk come out. He's a Fed. We know this for a fact. All this stuff. And now we're going to cover that tonight. I mean, Marshall, I mean, he's saying stuff that could be libel and slander, and he's a closet homosexual. I don't know if he's, I don't know what to say about this. But I mean, wow.
I don't know that. I don't know. I mean, if he's saying it like that and he's like all there, on air to thousands of people or hundreds of thousands or millions,
yeah,
I would say that, he probably ain't wrong. But, I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Let me know what you guys think about that. I mean,
Benny would be better probably just like, I don't know, man. Who the hell? Look, it's Milo, what is his name? Milo or whatever.
Yeah.
Yiannopoulos. The guy is like Laura.
That whole
Loomer.
crew, Milo, like Laura Loomer, Larry Loomer.
He's like
Fuentes,
Larry Loomer that hasn't transitioned. I mean, it's a whole group of, and it wouldn't surprise me if it were true, honestly.
Right.
But, let them ride their gay way or whatever it is that they want. They can do them. You do you, and go ahead.
I mean, when you're making accusations like
pretty
that,
serious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I guess stay tuned. I guess is the
whatever, man. I mean, but that's the whole thing now. Now you're a Fed. You're a Fed. You're a Fed. You're a Fed. Elon Musk, he's a Fed. He's a Fed. Nick Fuentes, polarizing figure. Recently, Tucker Carlson, all become quite polarizing in different areas. The two have been beefing online. Then Tucker inviting Fuentes on. I thought you were Fed. I thought you were Fed. Tucker and Nick Fuentes finally put an end to the Fed debate. Okay, there you go. All right. So, I mean, and then he goes on Crowder. Do you hate Jews? No. Do you consider yourself anti-Semitic? No. Do you believe white people superior? No. Okay. All right. So he goes on, he has this thing. Listen, I got more about this. I mean, I got the Daily Caller put something out that was pretty good. I have to.
A lot of shit Nick says is true, man.
I mean, yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that he says is good, but I mean, is he being purposely fed this to say, even though he doesn't believe it, just to pump up and the ratings are being pumped up just to see how people are reacting to that? Is Nick Fuentes a foreign op? New evidence suggests maybe.
He might be.
Nearly half of the retweets of Nick Fuentes' 6 most viral posts, 3 before Charlie Kirk's assassination and 3 after, allegedly came from foreign accounts. Wow. The study analyzed Fuentes' social media activity. It found engagement patterns the researchers say are consistent with bot farm amplification. Well, not shocker there. Rather than genuine audience support. The network Contagion Research Institute released the report on Monday in partnership with Rutgers University. Researchers examined the retweets from India, Pakistan, Nigeria, Malaysia, and Indonesia. These countries have no organic connection to Fuentes, America's first politics, but match the geographic footprint of low-cost and engagement farms. Wow. The report also found that Fuentes outperforms Elon Musk in the early retweet velocity, despite having fewer than 1% of Musk followers, with 30 minutes of 61% posting of his retweets came from accounts that repeatedly boosted multiple posts in the same window. Interesting. Here's the Data Republican. This was a good one. Fuentes Rise, not organic, NCRI data shows directly cultivated, participated, and coordinated raids that foreign engagement farms and anonymous accounts then amplified to distort his reach. There is a real audience behind him, but the scale you see online is what? There it is. A few days ago, it was ratioed all the way through. Of the repeat amplifiers, 92% were fully anonymous with no real name, photo, location, contact information. The majority operate as a single-purpose Groyper, accounts dedicated to boosting Fuentes. The NCRI researchers noted the irony of Fuentes' America First branding, given documented praise for U.S. adversaries. His clips have reportedly appeared on Iranian state media, Russia Today. Fuentes led chants Putin at his political conference while Russia bombed Ukraine. He once told an associate he would fight on the side of China against America. I mean, he's a provocateur. He says whatever comes to mind that gets the most clicks that they help elevate. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, that's the whole premise and predicate of him. So he says, I don't know what he believes or doesn't believe, but obviously he says a lot of stuff that, let's put it this way, gets hyped up. I don't know what your thoughts out there. Everybody's a little quiet today and stuff. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a cold pill. Comments, questions, concerns. You can help out marshallkofi.com/surfdog74. Yeah, I mean, everybody's all quiet over here. Let's see. Don't think what? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. All right, moving on.
You know, I want to tell you that you could say the same thing about other influencers out there with these that they said about him, about the bots and all that. You could say the same thing about them too.
Well, obviously, there's something behind him that's doing this. You know what I'm saying? He has some type of, let's just say, viability behind him. So, Piers Morgan, they go at it. What a crock of shit, Piers Morgan versus Nick Fuentes. I have some stuff. I'm not going to play this video. Maybe I'll play a little bit. Fuentes got agitated on Monday when Piers Morgan asked if he grew up in a racist family, bringing up as an anecdote. Fuentes had told him on his show about his dad avoiding restaurants like Applebee's and Red Lobster because of a lot of black people hate there. The topic irritated Fuentes during his appearance on Piers Morgan. Let's play a little bit. I got some more stuff. But we'll cover it. It is funny.
You're a New York Times. It's going to be very hostile. It's going to be an ambush. All those kind of things. I don't intend it to be overt.
Dissident platforms. I was on D Live for many years. A lot of people don't even know what that is.
I know what it was.
And so I had a small following, and we had sort of like an in-group sense of humor and memes and things like that. And you talk about it one way on a freewheeling live stream when I'm by myself and I'm ranting and we make jokes and we play this bubble, if you could call it that. When I went to college in 2016, I went to Boston University. Attitudes these days. And so, you know, again, I think those attitudes, you say I'm a product of my environment. I am. And so are my parents and my grandparents. Unlike you, because you're not even American, in Chicago, we have to live in a big, diverse city where there's a lot of different kinds of people. And I think anybody in Chicago will tell you the same.
I live in London. It's one of the biggest and most diverse cities in the world.
Cuck.
But it's not the same.
Well, actually, it's a big, diverse city. The only difference is we don't have the gun violence because we don't have guns. That's a whole different story. Yeah. I don't want to get into that with you. I have got into that before.
You got
in America.
A knife problem. You got sword problems.
We have problems with
Aladdin.
We have problems with violent crime. I make no pretense of it. So the idea that somehow I'm cosseted in London because I'm not in Chicago.
I didn't say that.
Well, you kind of implied it, but I guess my point about the environment, I'm not saying you are a product of your environment. I'm saying most people are in some capacity.
when I read that anecdote, which just to remind you, it's not something I have put out there. You told this story, right? And you said that
you said this. We're looping. You said this already.
But you haven't really directly, I think, responded to it, which is whether your father would not take you to certain restaurant chains because he associated them with Black Americans. Is that true?
No, well, see here, if you're in America, you would say that Olive Garden is not real Italian food. Applebee's, TGI Fridays, the stuff is a load of crap. My dad was just a food snob, but no, it's got nothing to do with that. My best friend in first grade was a Black guy. We're not a racist family. So
okay. So when you told the story, I'm just curious. So when you told that anecdote, which clearly on the face of it is racist, right? You're basically saying your father made racist decisions about where you would go as a family to eat. Are you saying, well, I'm just going to ask you a question. Are you saying that when you told that story, you didn't mean to infer that he was racist? And do you understand why when somebody like me reads that anecdote for the first time, as I did this week, I reach a different conclusion?
Well, I understand what you're doing, which is a sort of making of a murderer. How did he become racist? Well, his father didn't eat at Olive Garden because he said that's not real Italian food.
I don't go to Olive Garden. So, I mean, I don't go to I don't go to a lot of those places. Chili's, all those people, all those places. I mean, the idea is like, it's not real food. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that Outback, all those places, Cheddar's, there's more. Okay. And I think in some way, this is the problem with Piers Morgan. All right. Because he's coming at him already saying, well, your dad made decision stuff. Maybe his dad didn't want to take him to shitty hole restaurants and stuff like that. Then may have had Black people there, but he didn't want to fucking deal with the fucking bullshit. It's possible. But instead, he's making it out to be this way. But you know what? I think it's brilliant. I think it's fantastic.
I'm
literally reminding you of something you said on your show, which led me to conclude a certain thing. If I'm wrong, tell me.
Yeah, it was said in jest as a humorous anecdote, and now you're trying to spin it into a narrative, which is his parents are racist. He comes from a long line of racists. And I think everybody knows my parents are boomers. Mm-hmm. And these people come, well, you're a boomer, I guess, too, in a way, 60. Right? You were born in
60.
19? Yeah, so you're a boomer also. Or maybe you're a Gen Xer. I suppose it's sort of on the cusp. But it's a humorous anecdote. These are kind of the attitudes of baby boomers in society, but you're trying to spin it into a narrative, which is you're a product of your environment. Your dad's racist because of this joke. Now you're a racist. And I don't think that's a fair characterization.
Okay. People can make their own minds up. They can go back and listen to you say it. I mean, the beauty of what I'm going to talk to you about in this interview is that almost all of it is just going to be reminding you what you have said.
See, that's all it is. I honestly, it was embarrassing. I got more. I'm going to cover a couple of things. These are some of the things, the clips that are not going to be so long. And I think it was just hilarious in some
Morgan,
way.
Man,
he's just an ass.
He's a boomer bagel.
Yeah, I mean,
total boomer bagel.
Yeah, I think Tucker Carlson.
I don't care.
Watching that thing with Tucker Carlson and him was it was painful. Yeah, grumpy boomers. Listen what he says here. Fuentes explains his problem with Black people to Piers Morgan. This was good. I like this one.
Behavior, which we've all seen. Blacks in America have become narcissistic, and they become narcissistic because they've been told they're victims of racism. They're victims of slavery. They've been told, really, there's no accountability. If they're rude, if they're inconsiderate, if they're criminal, they are told that they have no agency for their actions. They're being told, if you act in this way, it's because the white man made you that way. It's because the system's rigged against you. And so we have been telling Black people this for a generation, and now there's no rules. Now they go, and what we hate to see as decent people, not even as white people, but decent people, even Black people too, what we hate to see is rudeness, obnoxiousness, inconsideration, criminality, violence. And that's that pattern of behavior that we see all over social media. The problem is there's a pattern of...
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I mean, Marshall, you said it about going to the movie theater and dealing with those people. You know, people who are like on their phone, they're talking, they don't shut the fuck up. I mean, you know, it's like, yeah, that adds to the dilemma of going to the movie theater. When you want to watch the movie, when you could watch it at your home, you could pause it. You can go take a piss or a shit. You can go fix yourself another drink, make more popcorn, whatever. I mean, yeah, I get the whole point. I understand all that. But, you know, I think what he's saying there and stuff, our culture is just consumed with this, and that the targeted excuse is like, it's all because of us that you're acting like this. No, I didn't teach you how to chimp out. Okay. You learned that from a young age. You were taught that way. And or you were not taught at all in some way, and you have no etiquette, no manners. And I think that's the problem we face today. And it crosses so many different lines. It's not just blacks too. I mean, it crosses many different lines of many different groups of people across the United States. And he should have made that point even more relevant. I know he specifically talked about that, and I understand that, but it's not just them alone. And I think there's more to this. So he goes on. I got more. Let me show this. I'm just showing the highlights because I'm not going to sit there and show you a whole freaking thing for Piers Morgan. I'd rather blow my head off. This might be the funniest shit I've ever seen. Someone needs to put Dr. Dre music on and sunglasses at the end. Yeah, this was good.
And blacks. Jews, women, and blacks. Let's just take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to
trying to
clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said.
I give him that. At least he's
including saying that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
Jews.
So I mean, is he being serious, or is this just a skit? Do you think he's joking around? I mean, what do you think he really feels? What do you think the reaction of that with Piers Morgan as they're saying it? It's comical. It's funny. Is this a skit? Is he playing off them because Piers Morgan is such a he's just an adult in so many ways. It's just embarrassing the conversation. What do you think? I mean, do you think that?
Well, I mean, Piers is sitting there looking like he's trying to eat a pile of shit.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he really looks like he's like
he wants to get him. He wants to get him,
like
and he can't get him.
Oh
he can't get him. He can't get. He can't go.
Look, man. The reality is, in this day and age, Nick Fuentes, what he said right there is pretty much on target.
Yeah.
Except for, I mean, I'll give certain women, like conservative women, they're not part of this whole. He's talking about these majority of younger women that are liberals, and most of the younger women are liberals.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about.
No, I understand.
And the blacks, I mean, damn, man, I don't owe you a damn thing.
Agree.
They're sitting around here. You see it all the
Myron,
time.
you had Myron going through a whole thing watching it, because I saw some of what Myron is saying. He's a black dude, and he was just laughing his ass off, saying he's 100% right. He's saying he's 100% right. And he goes, the problem is that when you look at someone like Piers Morgan, he doesn't get it. He'll never get it. He'll never get it and understand it, where other people figure it out, because we're not super wealthy and super rich. And so we can live behind fucking gates and castles with armed security. All right. What's he worth? $100 million? Something like that. Aloha, Mom. Give to the cookie. Society is fatigued with all drama from a certain demographic. You're 100% right. Trusty turn up. And multiple demographics, I would say. Illegals. You got it. Multiple, multinational.
Indians.
I would say a variety.
Shitty.
All over the place. Yeah. Trusty term, gift to the cookie. Thank you so much. Thea, what's up? Dropping the 300 gold pills. Thank you for your support. Let's continue on. Nick Fuentes explains that he doesn't hate black people. He hates the pattern of behavior. This is another good one.
No, that's called economy of information. That's economy of information. That's safety. And I said in the same monologue, if you watch it, it's like, I feel sorry. The problem is you clip the 10 seconds. I don't know if you watched the whole show, but in that monologue, I said, most black people are not violent or criminals. I said, and it's unfortunate that we're going to offend them when we turn and walk the other way. I said, but the problem is we don't know. We can't tell. And someone like Irina Zarutska, she sat down in front of a black man with her headphones in and wasn't paying attention because she was being a good liberal, and said, I'm not uncomfortable by this. I'm progressive. Then she got stabbed in the neck. And
that's an excellent overview. Excellent overview. He said it exactly correct. He said, because she wasn't paying attention, she put her headphones on, and she thinks that she was in a safe space because of exactly who she was or what she was. But it doesn't mean she deserved to die. No, not at all. But he's making the point. All right. He's trying to say to Pierce Morgan and stuff, this is the problem we face. This is the reality we're living in. All right. And the thing is, if it doesn't change, all right, people are going to rise up and start taking, let's just say, not vengeance out, but they're going to be doing things that, let's face, that you're going to see a lot more people are going to see. And you might have to really look at this in some way that it might be the only way. Because I don't know if we're going to ever fix the problem in our culture, and we're going to fix the multiple cultural relativism. I don't know if we're going to fix the integration. I think we're already in a civil war. I've been saying this for a long time. We're in a racial civil war. We're in many different types of elemental civil war factions that we're dealing with. And it's not just with black on white. It's many other areas as well. It's a mindset. It's the way things are. And I think that the way he said it was perfectly rendered. Let's continue.
And she didn't even provoke that black
I said
guy
it's
to
unfortunate that you would have to sit behind the black man to be safe. And if he's not violent or schizophrenic, he might be offended by that. I said, but I would rather offend him than die.
How many deranged white men have committed atrocious acts of murder in the last 10 years? Got to balance it out, though.
Proportionally, far fewer.
But how many?
Fewer.
How many? Do you know how many?
You have a research team. You pull it up.
I mean, you're very big. You're
Yeah.
obviously extremely exercised by that one story, which was horrific for the record, absolutely horrific, and should never have happened. The person who perpetrated that evil act had a string of previous offenses and should have been picked up more, and it should have been amplified more. I completely concur with all of that. But I just suspect you have no idea how many white people have committed similar crimes, do you?
No, because I know it's far fewer from experience. Because it's like you said. Well, and hang on. And I would add to that, Irina Zarutska wasn't the first one. That was also after Austin Metcalf was killed in Texas.
Sure.
After
But
Carmelo
how many
Anthony
times has it
stabbed
been
him in the neck.
perpetrated by white people?
Well, hang on. Let me finish my point.
But you're
And then not
implying that
only
white
did-
people don't do this. And my point to you, Nick Fuentes, is of course,
Oh, I never said white people
of
don't do
course,
it.
deranged white people commit heinous acts. But you don't either know.
disagreement.
You neither know nor care, or maybe both. Maybe you do know but don't care.
No, what it is that white people do commit heinous acts, but once they go to jail, they don't come out of this revolving door 78 times. Okay? Because some judge who shouldn't be there is not really a judge, all right? Doesn't have a law degree, all right? Was just there because you're a DEI hire and you said, "Oh, okay, the poor black man, all right? He's in here again. We got to let him out. Got to let him out." Because they know recycling these people in and out, they'll do the same thing over and over again. And that's the way they get justice. That's the way they see their vengeance. All right? That's how he should have responded in this way. But he didn't. Listen to what he says here.
Only seem to be focused on black people who commit crimes. And again, if you hadn't prefaced the whole debate about racism by openly conceding you are a racist, I could read other connotations into what you've been saying. But once you've said, I'm a racist, and then you only talk about black crime, I think people can watch this and they can say, yeah, he's a racist. And everything that he says about crime is driven through the prism of being a racist who judges people according to their skin color.
Well, it's funny because it's quite on the contrary. And I said this in a similar monologue. The problem is not that I wake up and I walk down the street and I see someone that doesn't look like me and it makes me angry. The problem is there's a pattern of behavior, which we've all seen. Blacks in America have become narcissistic, and they become narcissistic because they've been told they're victims of racism. They're victims.
You heard that. I think that's the point. But that was a good overview of what they were talking about. And I think in some way he should have answered it a little bit better. I know he gave that response, and that's fine. I don't care about your color. I don't trust most people when I'm in a diverse crowd. Yeah, I agree. I have yes, I have problems with large crowds too. I had problems with airplanes and also elevators. I agree with that. I feel that way too. Someone said something funny. He said, just two fags talking to each other. Super T. What's up, Hogleg? Thanks for the cookie. That's funny. Marshall, your thought about what you see here. I mean,
the whole thing
he's
that
just
Pierce,
problematic. Yeah.
The whole thing that liberals like Pierce and all these and including a lot of blacks out there.
Yeah.
They refuse to understand that they are a minority of the population that commits a larger proportion of crimes per their amount of people that they are.
Right.
Per their population. So if they just can't figure that out. They just don't.
They don't understand the numbers. From a metric standpoint, there are about 13.5% of them living in this country. All right. And they commit 58% of the most violent crimes. Yeah. Okay. Black on black and black on white. And they can't understand that metric, that it's a higher ratio of people proportionally that kill out. They kill each other and they kill other people as well. And I think those numbers are reflexive about what people are trying to say. Why is that? Why are their numbers so much higher? Yes. And there's a varying degree of reasons. But they don't want to talk about that on his show and stuff. Yeah. They just want to. He tried to do a gotcha and get Fuentes in some way. Now, whatever you think about Fuentes, is he a comedian? Is he a stage guy? Is he a provocateur? Is he a controlled op? Is he Ray Epps 2.0? Some people think so. I mean, some people think his agenda is that per se, because he's all over the place. He says all over the city. Obviously, there's something there that he's done. He's a provocateur that gaslights everything, sends shit out there left and right, and then it's picked up and people follow him. All right? But does he believe anything? Does he hold a certain degree? He's not MAGA. He's admitted that. He didn't vote for Trump in 2024. I mean, some days he's for Trump, next day he's against Trump. He never holds tight on a situation or a pattern that he stands for. What does he believe in? Okay? He's only calling out things that he recognizes, that he knows that you guys recognize, that everybody else recognizes. All right? All he does is highlight that. Maybe even gaslights that in some way. Maybe astroturfs that. I think the point of understanding is that what does he really believe? Because I don't think he has a platform that he believes anything. He is there to fill a space, all right? And that space is to what? To aggregate a certain potentiality of heightened gaslighting and astroturfing. I think so. And that's it. He profits off that. He makes money off it. He boosts off that. He's no Tucker Carlson. He's not Candace Owens. Candace Owens has built a whole empire of her own. She goes up against the machine. Whether you like her or not, whether you're against her or not, whether you agree with her or not, she is, I would say she's right there where Kirk was at some point. He had a whole enterprise behind him. He had the machine behind him. So when you really look at what he is and stuff, he's a bomb thrower. That's all he is. He basically does everything he can to spin the wheels, and he goes on these platforms. He makes a lot of money. We don't know what who's operating behind the scenes. And I think that's what it is. So the people that follow him, they move the needle around of trying to figure out what they want to do to highlight a story, to aggregate it in such a way and in such a narrative.
But I want to add, okay, is he a Fed? Because a lot of people are saying he's a Fed. Yeah. He's a Fed. He's a Fed.
Okay. A Fed. Who's saying that?
Okay. Pierce Morgan, there's other I've seen on that he's a Fed. Okay. Mm-hmm. My question is, what kind of Fed?
Right.
Are you a Fed that's out here for America?
Mm-hmm.
Are you out here? Is this guy an actor?
Mm-hmm.
Is this guy a guy that's out here blowing up the truth on a lot of shit? I'm not saying everything. I mean, we don't know. But certainly the younger people, they're like, because he does spit out a lot of the fire bombs, like you said. I get it,
right?
But hey, that's just my thought on that. I mean,
what he does is he invigorates a certain audience, a certain
people talk.
He
gets people talking.
Yeah, and that's it. That's what he does. What he believes in or doesn't believe, I don't think anybody really knows. It's not a platform that he comes on there and said, "All right, this is where I stand. This is where I stand." No, I think he walks the line between good and evil. I think he does. He goes on both sides. He plays both sides all the time, and he spins a web, a narrative, and does a lot of agitprop and throws it out there and see, let's just say what catches fire. Yes, I think so.
All right, moving on. Bad though,
What's that?
I don't know if it's a bad thing.
I'm not implying that it's not. The question is he's a Fed plant. Whatever the hell that means does he work for the government? Is he a paid actor for the state in some way? A state? What state? We don't know. I don't know what that is. Again, is he a psyop or a provocateur? What is his? I think the catcher in a pitcher. I like that. Hawk Leg 71 gifted the can. Great show, fellas. That's funny. That is funny. No, look, I'm not saying that, but when you look on the level and stuff like that, that's the problem. Can he be taken seriously? He goes on all these shows. He gets boosted. Elon Musk is saying, look, he's a Fed. And people ask, why did you bring him back on to X? And he goes, well, he has a right to free speech, just like everybody. And I'm like, yeah, but there are other people. He says things far more worse than, let's just say, some friends of mine who are banned on X and they can't ever go back. Ooh. And why is that? So I find the hypocrisy and opportunism of Elon Musk and X per se that are not allowed in some way to look. Why can't True Reporting come back on X? Honestly, he doesn't say half the shit that Fuentes does that he gets away with, and they allow him on. And then Elon is basically calling him out. You have Data Republican calling him out and saying, look, this information, it's not good. He's getting boosted left and right from outside external countries in some way. It seems like this is a Fed plan. Okay, moving on. So Tucker Carlson, Prime Minister of Qatar, tells Tucker Carlson that Qatar's ties with Hamas began years ago at the request of the U.S. government. I wonder who was at the U.S. government that helped set this request in forward and move this. He says every dollar flowing into Gaza is routed with full involvement of the Israel and Mossad. He's basically saying Israel is effectively bankrolling Gaza's terror networks, and Washington knows it. Wow, that's big. I think that got nothing. I don't know why anybody's not listening.
This country's being denounced as a terror state, terror financing.
Yeah, Larry Loomer, every day.
Very high volume, lots of attacks, including from politicians, sitting U.S. senators, Ted Cruz, for example. And the main criticism seems to revolve around Hamas. And the idea is that your country and you specifically are supporters of Hamas, your terror financiers. And I'd like to just get right to the truth of that. So my understanding is Hamas is here in Doha because the United States and Israel asked you to host Hamas. Is that true? And if not, what is the truth about Hamas in Doha?
Well, thank you, Tucker. First of all, look, the starting of the relationship with Hamas and the communication was started back more than 10 years, 13 years ago at the request of United States. So even beyond that, like it was 19 years ago when they first participated in the election, and then when they moved their office back in 2012 here, it was used only for the communication and to facilitate like ceasefire, facilitating aid to Gaza. Now, unfortunately, Qatar has been attacked for having them here. But when you look, at what's happening within the region, this region, when you look at its conflict, it has the parties of the conflict. Sometimes they are state actors, sometimes they are non-state actors. If you have no one speaking to those non-state actors, how we are going to resolve or to reach to a solution at the end of the day? And now we have seen that this communication has led to ceasefires, has led to the release of the hostages, has led to alleviating the suffering of the people over there. And unfortunately, there are like politicians who are trying to use this to score like short-term political gains to fuel their narratives in order to using Qatar to blame another country for what's happening over there or for their wrong policies. All our aid and all our support and financing that went and what they claimed that went to Hamas, went to Gaza, went to the people, and it was under very transparent process that United States is fully aware about. Israel is the one who's facilitating, and it's not one government, it was across governments. Netanyahu, Bennett, We have dealt with all the agencies. Lapid was a prime minister at a certain point of time. Mossad, Shimbet, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the defense, all of them, they were involved in these aids and the delivery of those aids. So today, when they are claiming that this is the financing of Qatar to Hamas, it has no basis. It's just a way to spread disinformation about a country that doesn't do anything for them, but it's doing things that are against their policies. If you just go to Qatar records with in its engagement with the United States for the last 20 years or 30 years, Qatar has never went to the United States and encouraging them to bomb this country or to support this group or to that group. We've been always in our dialogues with the United States about how we de-escalate the region, how we bring peace to the region. And this peace cannot happen without an engagement with everyone in the region.
Okay. What's your thoughts? I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, you're getting a conversation. I mean, that's what Tucker's bringing. He's asking the right questions instead of just pointing out and saying, why is Hamas here? What are they doing? You're seeing that there's a connection between multiple groups, the United States, Israel, Hamas per se, and many other affiliations that are a part of this never-ending war, it seems like.
I tell you, what he was saying right there was basically saying that Israel has been, he didn't say these words, but he said this.
Mm-hmm.
Israel has been supported by American military and money for so many years that we've kind of had to go along with what they're doing. We've been forced to kind of play along because we're against this monster over here that's called Israel.
Yeah.
And we just kind of got to play along.
Mm-hmm.
And now all that shit, and I've never seen a forum take place with somebody like Tucker or anybody.
Ask
ever.
that question.
Well, anybody. I've never even seen a forum like this at all with Qatar or Egypt or anybody. Any of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been just Israel. Oh, you'll have plenty of these back in the day of forums with Israel, but now that whole region is being broken down and dismantled. Not dismantled, but broken down and set up in a way where everybody gets their own deal. There ain't no more one deal for you.
No.
There's a deal for everybody over there now.
Yeah, and there's a let's just say platform or multi-lengthy platform of prevailing viewpoints now that are coming out for people to speak out, where previously in the past they weren't allowed to say. They were probably kept quiet. They were told not to say anything. And I think now President Trump has made sure that that type of, let's just say, whatever that was over the discussion to have and stuff is all coming out. The truth embargo of what's taking place in that region is unfurling out. And there's a lot of people who don't like it. That's why they're screaming at Tucker Carlson, like Mark Levin and Larry Loomer, calling him Carlson, and he's buying a house over there and he's bought and paid for over there. Okay, whatever. I mean, you know what? But, for years and stuff, you had a narrative that was coming out strictly because you go over to Israel and you come back out and you're toting a line and a narrative from there, and that was okay. And I think it's some way that when things, and I believe Don Jr. was there and many other people were in Doha talking there for an event. So it's like you're saying, is Don Jr. bought and paid for, Larry? I mean, is that what you're talking about? I mean, everybody that goes over there is bought and paid for. I mean, come on, just stop with that. And I think that's the problem. That's why we can't bridge the gap with truth, because we're all pointing at, just like I was saying, when everybody's calling a Fed or everybody's bought off, everybody's getting $7,000 or they're bought off from here and stuff. Everybody just becomes deaf from the noise because they don't want to hear that shit anymore. They're sick of it. They're sick of Israel. They're sick of the Middle East. They're sick of all this stuff. And now that we have a new way of moving, the strategy that President Trump, the new Monroe Doctrine that President Trump is realigning the southern and western hemisphere of the United States, North America per se, I think this is a great thing. And so we're less focused on listening to this. And so more and more, I think truth gets out because people are tired of it. People are over it. I mean, when President Trump says, hey, I'm done with Ukraine, as Don Jr. said, it's over. Europe is going to be in a really bad situation, a bad place. And I think everybody in Ukraine right now should be scared shit, because if Zelensky does not step down and they put someone else in his place to sign off on this deal, that country is going to be overrun. It's going to be overrun if it's not overrun now. I mean, we don't even know who's running this country per se. It's like a country full of gangsters and mobsters that have basically just been bought off and paid off from the American tax dollar that we're just sick and tired of. We don't see anything about it. We don't get anything in return. There's no investment in there, not until President Trump made sure that with a mineral rights deal that it's set up, or natural resources per se. But I don't know what's left over to begin with about that country. But I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired of dealing with Israel. I'm so tired of hearing about all these other state actors that are involved in this nefarious stuff. And, you know, every day that we're on X, every day that we're all on these things, we have to worry about. It's like, we got to make sure it's like, all right, is this person what? This person's that, person's that. That's why it's not just being careful about who you follow or what you're saying and what they're saying and stuff like that. Look at them as what they're doing. All right. All right. Like I was saying, he's Fuentes a provocateur. He's a bomb thrower. That's it. What's his platform? What's he believe? What's his values? Same thing with other people. You could go through the list. You could point to people. We know who Mark Levin is. We know who Larry Loomer is. We know who these people are. All right. We have an idea. You saw Roger Stone calling out Larry Loomer today, basically calling around saying, once we see those bank records, it's over. We know. I mean, you know, you got people accusing everybody of everything on there anymore. I mean, it's just a bullshit of noise.
Israel has just brought over I think it's 1,000 influencers over there, and they're training them to convince us how great they are. You guys, everything can be a psyop. Be very careful what you watch.
That's why I'm saying that. That's why when I see that interview with Piers Morgan, I'm like, it's a joke. Just like the Piers Morgan interview with Tucker was embarrassing. It was sad to watch. It was painfully obvious of what it was. And Piers Morgan, man, I mean, he's just finding everybody that he can that's confrontational so he could boost his ratings. That's what it's about. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, the idea, the narrative that anytime you put Candace Owens in some thumbnail or something like that, that will bring you more following, more people, viewers, because she is controversial in a lot of ways, just like this guy was. So Trump orders DOJ, FTC to investigate foreign influence and food supply industry pricing fixing. I said this to you about a month or two ago when we were railing on all the influencers that were bitching and moaning about all the price inflections and all this stuff. This is because of what's going on. It's the middlemen in there, and President Trump is putting this forward. Now he's giving the DOJ and other people the Trade Commission to create task force on price fixing and other anti-competitive practices within the United States food industry. It's all over the place. The order is titled Addressing Security Risks from Price Fixing and Anti-Competitive Behavior in the Food Supply Chain. Interesting. It frames food affordability, supply stability, as matters of national economic security under a national emergency. The order cites vulnerabilities in multiple sectors, including meat processing, seed and fertilizer production, agricultural equipment, manufacturing. It also references recent civil settlements, price-fixing cases totaling tens of millions of dollars. According to the order, these sectors remain highly susceptible to conclusion, consolidation, and other market abuses. The directive also learns that the anti-competitive behavior by foreign-controlled corporations could drive up food prices and threaten the reliability of American food supply. This is a shot across the bow. I think this is a harbinger for the future. This new directive, the FTC chairman must establish a total task force dedicated to investigating potential anti-competitive conduct through the food chain supply. I agree with this 100%. These briefings do 180 days and 365 days in the order of signing. It must be delivered to the Speaker House, the Senate majority, and the chairs of the relevant committees. In November 2025, Trump called the DOJ probe into allegations of collusion and price manipulation. Yes, they were purposely doing this. They knew the influencers were out there on X. They knew that they were screaming bloody hell. And so what? They were price fixing, price gouging in so many different ways. And it wasn't that. You got to think about it. It's the distributions that go there. All right. They sell the product to the actual distributor. Let's just say you you sell a product to Publix and stuff like that, they're going to mark it up based upon the price, but their price is already marked up. So what do? They're going to add a little bit more to it. And that's why everything seems inflated. We'll always protect our American ranchers, Trump wrote on True Social. He had the farming at the White House today. He had a bunch of farmers there. New directive comes as the president has tasked the Treasury Secretary Percent with addressing the rising cost of living. So, I mean, obviously there's so much manipulation across the board. It's out of control. And I think I think a lot of people who want to blame President Trump, who went on the tear, and I know who I can name 10 people off the top of my head who are on there screaming, what's going on? We promised all this stuff. And it's not him. It was never him. It was about what? Controlling that in some way. And I think a lot of people lost the viability. I mean, look, gas prices are like, in some places, they're like $2 now. And what, 2/3 of the country, gas prices are under $3. Okay? In 1/3 of the country, gas prices are at $2.10. I've been looking at all the maps and studies on that. And I think that's great. I mean, it takes time. It does take time. And I think next year, in the first quarter of next year, we'll start to notice a difference, Marshall.
Well, I want to say that
as we dip out,
these retailers, the retailers, and they're in the like from gas to grocery, they've been holding these prices that they had under Biden. They've been holding. They're making massive amounts of money, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And they should have lowered them, but they've kept them up. When their wholesale prices have gone down, they're keeping the price. They're loaded a little bit, make you feel a little better, but they're still making bank. So I blame them. These guys are making bank. I don't have anything to prove it, but I think that is probably what's.
You can prove it by going to different areas. If you just go to different grocery stores and take pictures of the brands, all right? Go to different grocery stores and you'll see different markups. It's that simple.
And then the weight is another thing.
Oh, thank you, Trusty Turnip. You like the artwork. It mirrors that too.
It's a Christmas one. The weight of stuff. Y'all gotta realize that the weight, like if you get a pound of beef, a lot of places they're not giving you a whole pound.
Right.
It says it on there, but you're not getting it. So the whole thing is eventually, hopefully we can clear it up.
Well, there is an argument made, Trusty Term, gas prices are always artificial on purpose. Yeah, but look, gas prices should come down. I was just at Costco yesterday to get gas, and it was like the 93 pump at Costco was like $3 and like what? It was 40 cents, 50 cents. That's still high for Costco, but that's the 93. That's the super. So when you think about it, I mean, like I said, that almost 50 to 60 cents per dollar, okay, that it's taxed between local, state, and federal. That's what you're paying. So if you remove that 50, 60 cents, then your gas would be down to what? $3 or under that if you're paying 93. Yeah, the lower one, okay, you could find it, but it's still high though. I mean, it depends on the city, the state, the local municipality you live in. I totally agree with that. I think a lot of people miss that all the time. They don't really understand that. But, that's why not all the country is feeling the same type of, let's just say, singing praises as low gas. Trusty term, 263 at PJ's. Okay, that's good. I mean, I'm glad. I mean, at least when I see gas prices all over at like $1.90, $2, $2.10, $2.50. I mean, that's fantastic. It's still high in Florida, though. It's still high in certain areas in Florida. If you're outside of Tampa or Miami or even Orlando, I guarantee you it's a lot cheaper. All right, that's our show tonight. I want to thank everybody for supporting the platform. Let's see who was here, who was winning. So I don't know. Why is this? I don't know what's going on with the leaderboard here. It's like it's not working. All right, let's say Thea, thank you. 1.7 Wood USA, 1.2, and Hogleg with 700. Thank you guys for all supporting the platform. We will return on Wednesday at 7:30. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. God bless. And ciao, Bella.
Good night.